engaged in this for the next several hours. So come on, make yourself comfortable, and we're going to get started. Just to kind of put today into a context, I thought I'd offer a few thoughts before we hear from our presenters. We all know the neighborhood council movement started really as an alternative to the breakup of this city. 10 years ago, this city faced the very real possibility of no longer being a single city anymore. And the reason for that was quite simply that many parts of this city felt as though they had no voice in City Hall, and that they weren't heard in City Hall, and that City Hall didn't really represent the individual and different concerns that each community of this city had, the sorts of concerns and issues that distinguish one community from the other. And you know, no place was this more true than right here in the center of the San Fernando Valley. Being somebody who was born and raised here, I remember even as a relatively young child that sense that the valley was treated as separate from the city of Los Angeles, as in some respects the ugly stepchild or something that was neglected and not really listened to. And that's why the secession movement took root here. And it's why the secession movement very nearly succeeded. In that process of rethinking what we want our city to look like, and how we want it to be governed, through that process, the neighborhood empowerment movement was really born. And neighborhood councils sprang up and have flourished since then. And we now have 91 neighborhood councils throughout this. 92, sorry. Sorry, it was North Hollywood.
North Hills East.
I'm sorry?
North Hills East.
North Hills East. Thank you. Our newest neighborhood council, North Hills East, everybody. So, 92 neighborhood councils now representing, every part of the diversity of this city. So there's been great success in developing that sense of neighborhood empowerment throughout the city. But we all know that there have also been tremendous challenges. There have been tremendous challenges just in figuring out how do we make this system work? How do you meet the needs of 92 different neighborhood councils that run the spectrum from the most activist, high-functioning kind of neighborhood councils to some where it's a struggle to get anyone even to get involved and to participate. So finding a government system that works for all 92 has proved to be a challenge. At the same time, we know that there have been political assaults on the neighborhood council movement. There are those who are in positions of power, among my colleagues and elsewhere, that would just as soon we not have neighborhood councils because they're an annoyance that we should do away with. There have been challenges in things like the recent Wendy Gruhl audit that revealed concerns, real concerns, about how we manage neighborhood councils and how we create a system that has independence and autonomy, but still assures oversight and accountability. Where we strike that balance, as far as I'm concerned, we still haven't quite figured out. So, then you lay on top of all that the city is now facing a budget crisis that's beyond anything any of us have experienced in our lifetimes, literally. And that creates tremendous challenges as well. And it creates tremendous pressures, and it creates a political environment within the council, and within the mayor's office, within the entire city structure, that puts additional pressure on the neighborhood councils to demonstrate viability, to demonstrate accountability, to demonstrate effectiveness. So that's the terrain that we're all operating on now. So within that terrain, as you know, earlier in the year there was a proposal that came as part of the budget process to do away entirely with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment as a standalone department, to roll that into CDD. to reduce the staff, and there have been proposals to cut funding for neighborhood councils as well. There have been a number of proposals that have been floated within the budget process and otherwise that, as far as I'm concerned, would have handicapped or completely done away with this blossoming neighborhood empowerment movement that we have going. And thankfully, through my position as chair of the neighborhoods, at the Education and Neighborhoods Committee, we were able to fend off those efforts. We've been able to preserve Dunn as a standalone department and send the message to this city that yes, neighborhood empowerment is vital enough to this city that it requires a standalone department within the city to protect it and to help it flourish. We've been able to fend off cuts to the annual allocation to neighborhood councils, and in general, at every opportunity, we have looked for ways, and I think succeeded in many respects, in trying to find ways that we can make neighborhood councils a greater part of the dialogue in city government. And so far, so good. And as it should be, that's been done in close partnership with you, with the neighborhood councils, and with the alliances, and with Bonk and with Dunn. You know, we've tried as best I can to do this in a way that is collaborative and that has built partnerships and that has been a real grassroots policy-making effort, because that's what this movement is about. And I think it's been manifest in how we've been able to deal with these issues so far. And so I want to thank all of you for having been so directly engaged, for making your voice heard, for standing up and standing up for the neighborhood council movement. We've needed every one of you to fight this fight, and so far it's been a successful one. So, but that brings us to where we are now and the reason for being here today. Obviously, despite the fact that we now still have a standalone Dunn, at least for now, we've been able to fend off cuts to neighborhood councils, at least for now. The truth is, we need to stand up right now and figure out, how do we make this system work in the best possible way for neighborhoods and for empowerment going forward? Because the status quo, I think we can probably all agree, is not going to be sustainable. First of all, we're in a different place now than we were 10 years ago. But we're no longer trying to figure out how we encourage neighborhood councils to form and to be certified and to get them started. We've got 92 of them throughout this city. So we're in a completely different place now than we were a decade ago. And that means the role of Dunn is going to have to significantly change from where it was 10 years ago. We also have 10 years of experience now. And many of you have been here throughout that 10 years, and you've seen the movement evolve, and you've seen your individual neighborhood councils evolve, and you've seen that the needs that you have now are different than they were then. You've set up systems internally. Some of those systems mesh well with Dunn, some of them don't. In some respects, the way Dunn is servicing the neighborhood councils, it's not working as effectively as it could for you. In other ways, there's things that Dunn is doing that are working effectively to help you. So what today is about is really figuring out, how do we make an effective department going forward, and how do we maximize the effectiveness of neighborhood councils in the most cost-effective way, while still guaranteeing that as part of this city's governance, we ensure accountability, transparency, and effectiveness. That's a tall order, folks. It is a real tall order, and it's going to take a lot of creative thinking. It's going to take all of us, I think, getting out of our silos a little bit. It's going to take us questioning the way all of us have done things in the past, and really thinking, is this the best way we should be operating? You know, just because our neighborhood council has done it this way all these years, is that the best way or not? We need to spend some time really thinking about that. So today is a thinking session. Today is a listening session. Today is not a debate. This is not like your typical city council meeting or your typical E&N committee meeting where I'm going to ask 30 of you to come up and give us all of your wisdom in 60 seconds. That's not what this is going to be. This is going to be a dialogue, where we're, as much as we can, we're going to be discussing and listening and thinking and brainstorming. And so the way this is going to work is we have a few other people who are going to speak at the outset, and then we're going to have